and action. Oh, we almost got the history.
Listen for my how.
Hi, my name is Nicole.
And I'm Misha.
And we're Ritual Común. And in light of all the things that are happening in the world, which we believe to be progressive and great, we want to be able to have a message from our perspective for those of you who are out there protesting and really in the front lines of this movement. Because it can take a toll not just on your body because you're being shot at and trampled, but also in your mind because it's a really trying time.
And I want to just talk about the title of this video, which is Mindful Activism, and start off by saying today is Breonna Taylor's birthday. She would have been 27 years old today. And so this video is really an homage to her and her life because she was wrongfully attacked. This is not only how I feel in my heart, this is not only a statement for us in terms of the Black Lives Matters movement, but also for women in general, because there are so many men that we see that get affected by this daily. And when it happens to a woman, it hits women even harder because we realize that gender doesn't matter. Let's use our minds, let's use our presence, let's use our awareness to become very self-realized and to give honor and homage to those who have passed before us so that we can really serve justice to those deaths.
This movement is being fueled by anger and fear and angst and hate from both sides. We have all gone through our own obstacles, traumas, wounds, right? Like we're fighting our own internal wounds and struggles that we've had to go through. We're fighting against a larger system. We're fighting against that cop sitting in front of us. We're fighting against so many different levels of injustice all at once in this one moment as a collective that the energy itself it's going to show.
There are ways for you to be really self-aware of when this energy is passing through you, because instead of having this fear or this anger, you can channel it into making something progressive.
If you're not out in the streets, right, what can you do? And you might be feeling guilt right now. You might be feeling guilt or shame, and you're like, I should be out there, but I have children, or I really have to work because I might not be able to make rent if I'm not working my regular job right now.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason it is that you're staying home and you still want to do your part, there's a lot of things you can do. Start researching where your money's going. For me, like, a lot of this injustice that's going on is being fueled by money. And we don't think about it. It's not that every time we go and we buy something at Sephora, right, we're saying like, I'm buying this lipstick and also I am promoting slavery, right? Like that's not what we're doing. We're just like, oh, pretty color, looks nice. Let me purchase that. Convenient. But we're not stopping and thinking, where is this money eventually going to go to? And yeah, maybe it's just $10, $20, but it's not just you, it's millions of us doing that. And so starting to kind of disconnect and saying to ourselves, like, do I really need that? And if I do need it, and it makes me feel good and I want it, how can I make this money support something that's positive, whether it's more sustainable, whether it's women's business, Black business, whatever it may be, but you're putting your money into something that you're consciously saying, I feel good. This purchase doesn't just make me look nice or make me feel powerful. I know that my money is supporting something that's positive.
Exactly. There's a lot of pages on Instagram that show Black-owned businesses that you can follow. You can look within your own community, and you can do the research on your own. The second one that I want to bring up is educate yourself. This is a huge one, and especially around someone like me, where most of my life has been about education. I feel as if one of the best things that I can do in this movement, and a lot of people around me, are educate the youth, educate systemic racism, educate yourself on Martin Luther King Jr.'s speeches and what he was trying to do with the movement in the 60s with the civil rights movement. Educate yourself as to the slave trade and understand what happened in this movement, what happened to bring so much tension to play, because it is not of your culture if you're not Black So you might not be so familiar with what exactly happened, what exactly were the riots for in 1992. Come into now a place of so much tension. And you might just be like, wow, like, I guess there's a lot of racism around. I guess there's a lot of injustice. That's not okay. But if you educate yourself, then you can understand the layers of it. You can understand the pockets in which it moves into. And you can even understand so much so as other countries that are experiencing similar systemic injustice.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, also there's a term by Baro, he's a journalist, he wrote books called realismo crítico. And what this means is realistic criticism, right? A lot of the literature that has been written on systemic racism or privilege comes from the people in power, right? It comes from a privileged place. And a lot of the times our communities are diminished into terms and defined by really narrow categories that are being made by the people who are in power. And so when you are reading this, things don't, I come from a lot of academia, right? And for me, it's like peer review article is like it, right? Like it's the truth. But then when you're faced with the reality person to person, you need to be able to understand that that person's point of view is real because our story isn't heard. Our story is being told by people in power, by big pharmaceutical companies that want to put their money somewhere. And we have no say about it. What am I seeing? What are my friends experiencing?
What am I reading?
And reaching out to people and having those conversations.
Yeah, and that's another aspect of it. Open conversation is huge in terms of, that would be our number 3, open conversation. Open conversation is going to be one of the best ways for you to educate yourself and also understand the experience of others. So we have a number of Black friends that have explained to us what it looks like, or we have no idea because we're Latin. So in our communities, racism looks very different. I have a friend who called me maybe a few months before this all happened, maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and it was nighttime. He was riding his skateboard down the street, but he knew he was drinking that night, so he wanted to just get home safely, but he told me that all the streets of Long Beach were patrolling by officers, and he had asked me, he woke me up at like 1 a.m, like, hey, can you come and pick me up and take me home? And this is one of his fears, is that he doesn't even want to have a car because he doesn't want to get pulled over for any reason just because he's Black. So it's been one of his biggest fears is to even own a car, own a vehicle, to like, and that is a real fear that some people do experience that I could never understand.
Yeah. And Misha was telling me this story yesterday, and I was like, what? Because as much as I try to understand real life instances, these moments in life that aren't just happening once, but this is his way of life.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that fear, that constant fear just plaguing your soul all the time. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
And we are not aware of it until somebody tells us.
Yeah. So having these open conversations are really important so that you can understand people's stories, people's experience, people's lives. It's going to be the greatest teacher for us all.
Yeah.
Because if we are not of the culture experiencing the same injustice and we can only see it from afar, we can only see it in the media, see it in the news, seeing it in people's anger. And obviously we know this is something that has been happening since slavery. It has not ever fully been.
Since the beginning of time.
Since the beginning of this country's time. And it has been.
Well, not worldwide. Like every empire that has formed in this world has had oppression. Because that's how we're building it. Because we're greedy. I don't know if by nature, but we're greedy. And we want to take advantage of other people. And this has happened in the Ottoman Empire and the Roman Empire. All empires have been built on oppression.
It's true. And we're experiencing that now, this experience in real time in our lifetime. So having mindful awareness of that is really important because when you educate yourself, when you start to spend your purchasing power and start having sustainable choices, when you start to have open conversations with people, you can start to truly integrate yourself and be able to provide an option for people to rest, provide an option for people to feel safe in order to heal. And that is one of the most important aspects of this whole process. So how do we, as individuals, provide healing?
Yeah, how do we hold space and honor that person's experience? And I think one of the most difficult conversations that you can have or that we've heard or that we've had has been coming from the other side, right? From the white privilege side. and that these communities are feeling really attacked and blamed, and that there's guilt there, and that there's this feeling of like, wait, I'm not racist. And I understand where it comes from, and it also has to be from our part of not being in the white privilege part, right? Of being able to hold space and having the compassion that these people don't know. And that's what has gotten us here. Some people, yes, they very actively are racist and are doing that, but other people aren't. And there's not a lot of research on this topic, actually. Even the way in neighborhoods that are affluent, making $90,000 to $500,000 a year, right? Like upper middle class. The way that they speak to their children about racism, it's not conversations that are had. It's something that is left to schools. And the mentality is like, we're all equal. So that doesn't sound bad. It's not coming from a hateful place, but it's their own they're naive about the fact that we aren't all equal. Like, yes, in a soul level and a being level, we are all equal, but in society, we aren't. And by not having those conversations with their children, whether they're white, black, or whatever, we are cheating those other kids from having a chance.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to say, like, I see no color, but by saying that, you're really belittling a person's experience.
Yeah.
And we also need to hold space to listen to those people that are like, you're wrong.
Yeah. We have color for a reason, right? We should be proud to have our color. We have come from cultures that have held these colors, and that is beauty because that has history, that has depth, that has a story. And when we are now in present day all mixed together, we all have stories. And when you see every different culture and every different color, you know that all of these things bring depth to a society. So please, like, what we are asking you is to have mindful awareness of your activism. There's so many books that you can show your children what racism is as small children. By 6 years old, you formed an opinion of whether a color is better or not.
Yeah.
There are studies that have been done where a child has to choose, a Hispanic child would have to choose a white toy baby or a brown toy baby.
It's so sad.
And they will always choose the white toy baby because they will think that they are better.
And actually, a specific study, they're describing like what's pretty. Like little children are describing what's pretty, and these girls of color, Black, Hispanic, Asian, are describing the white ones. And then they're like, they give them a black doll, and they're like, which one do you look more like? And they pick the black doll, or they pick the more brown looking doll, and you see it in the kids' realization of that they just have described the white blue-eyed baby as the pretty one, but they look like the other one.
Yeah.
And so in a child's mind, that just means like, I'm not pretty.
Right. And you can see this on Instagram as well. There's these stories that have been shared about some of these colored kids saying, I'm not pretty, I'm ugly. And it's like, they are seeing what the society's view of beauty is. And this is what they're ingrained in as children. So educate your children. Explain to them that there is this real racism.
And I know, actually, from working with different clients and working in parent groups, that Black people most often do have these conversations with their kids. It's something that they have to be like, how do I tell my child that life might not be fair because they are Black?
No, and that is also not a talk that white people are having with their white children.
Exactly. And so I know that there are parents out there or cousins or whatever who are being responsible and talking to their children about this, but it happens to be on the side of the colored people. And we need it to be on the side of everybody. Even if it doesn't sound pretty, even if it's difficult and uncomfortable, it has to be done.
Okay, guys. Well, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you did not like this video, just stop right there. Thank you very much. And let us know in the comments below what you think, what your opinions are, what your practices are in terms of mindful activism. And we are very happy that you have joined our little YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe.
And message us or find us on our website or anything if there's any way that we can support you.
Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye.
Till the moon has set, till the moon has set.
If you like what you hear and you want to keep the conversation going, listen to our podcast, Ritual Común Contigo.
Also check out our Instagram where we have information oracle cards, and give a special message just for you.
Make sure to check out our website.
ritualcomún.com.
Inhala.
Exhala. Inhala. Exhala.